Memorial Day is no doubt to honor the ones who certainly honor us to have freedom today. Well, it goes back to growing up. That was one holiday I remember we had the most people come over, and never really thought about it until I got older. And it was actually to celebrate Leslie. He was 1 year younger than Dad, so Dad waited for him to get out of school so they go into the military together, and Leslie had a scholarship for football, and he gave that up to serve the country. So they went down to Paris Island together. And I can't remember of all the places they served, but it was a lot of beaches that they certainly landed on. And the most tragic one was no doubt Guam. When he and Dad and the 3rd Marine Division landed at Guam, no doubt Leslie was one of the many few who got killed. And the understanding I have from my grandmother is that when they got notice that Leslie was killed, she sent Dad a letter and said, "I'm sorry Leslie was killed." That's how Dad found out he was dead. I just don't really think people really understand how Memorial Day came to be, let alone to follow that up as becoming a Gold Star family. It's quite an honor, there's no doubt about it, but it's a solid honor. It's really something you just don't go around and really brag on or talk about. You just simply, subconsciously, you just simply know that, wow, that my family has done very well serving this country. My daughter is the 7th member of my family to serve since World War I. We all volunteered, and she's the first female to go in and the first one to go in the Navy. Looking back at my yearbook, my plans was military then college. So it was the best thing for me, and to see the world and the things that I did, a lot more character than I ever thought I would have. And I probably saw and did more than 13 months overseas than I did 12 years of high school. I would just simply say, if you want to go in the service, go. If you don't. But if you do go in there, hopefully you'll get that pride and meeting people throughout the country doing the same job, and that is securing our country and let alone our freedom. You really need to show that respect for the individuals in that uniform, because it certainly is indeed keeping this country safe and also exercising our freedom that we're very pleased and blessed to have.
I lost my uncle in May 7th, 1968, 53 years ago, and 10 days on May 17th, he would have been 21. So the night before, he and the guys, they were playing cards, and Mike was supposed to go on the rounds the next morning, but he'd cut his finger real bad and had to have stitches. So my uncle was put on the tank. He was the sergeant. He was lead tank. And they came on to some fire. And they said all of a sudden he just grabbed his ears like this and fell back into the turret in the tank. And he'd been shot straight in the head. My great-grandmother raised my dad, and my aunt and my Uncle Benny raised them, and my dad had just gotten back from Chicago because my grandmother had died on May 7th, 1968. And when he flew back home that night, we got the phone call because my grandmother, which was their mother, had gone back to Chicago, and the Marines were waiting for her after the funeral in Wisconsin. And so the Marines were waiting to tell her, and that's when we found out. I remember I was in bed sleeping and my mom was screaming. And to me, he was this big man, this really good-looking man and fun. And for me, finding all of his brothers and that he fought with. This is them, and this is my uncle, and they have brought me to, they did a big eulogy of him and flew me to San Diego. It was amazing. Our men and women fight for our country, and when they die, it's just, I don't know what to say. Yeah, we were all off on that day, and thank God, you know, we get a day off and stuff like that, but it's really, it was set to honor. Fly your flags, say a prayer for, not only for the men who have died, the men and women who have died for our country, but also for the men who fought with them, men and women, and for the families. It's a great loss. He'll never have children, you know, a family. So, he'd have been a good dad.